So I was talking to Dino the other day, my woodcutting buddy. That sounds weird. Anyway, we were just reminiscing and BSing about horses and the funny things they do and the little idiosyncrasies they have. And I got to telling about the old gelding we've got, and we've had him forever, and we've all used him for a variety of things. Kids use him a lot more now. But I said, yeah, he'll play pranks on you. And Dean says, what are you talking about? He'll play pranks on you. And I said, yeah, he'll prank you. For instance, it can be a completely still day and there's no flies around anywhere, and he's tied to a post eating grain, and you go to walk around him, and if you're in just the exact spot where he can, for no reason whatever, he'll switch his tail and whack you right in the face with it. And then he'll turn and look at you like, gotcha. And that's a little prank. That's these things that as we spend lots and lots of time with horses and we develop our relationship with them, they start showing their personality. And he's a grouchy old gelding and he likes to prank people. That's kind of like tripping somebody as they walk by, his tail switch deal. And that's when we get into these relationships with horses, they start doing that, and it's really fun to see, and it's really rewarding, I think, when a horse starts showing you what they really are and what they're all about. Another thing that old gelding, he'll do, if I'm doing something with a colt, and a lot of times I'll have him loose in there in the round pen, usually because Amy's gonna ride him as a help horse, but maybe she went off to go do something and just left him loose in there, and I'm doing something with colt or adjusting my cinch or whatever, he will creep up on me ever so creepily, and then right when he gets there, he'll punch me in the back with his nose. And he knows how jumpy I am. He thinks it's hilarious to watch me jump and karate kick because he snuck up on me and poked me. Those are little things he does. We had an old horse named Mel. He wasn't that old, but we'd had him around long enough that you start seeing these things in a horse, and might be after work there'd be a handful of us standing around having a beer, have our saddle horses there. And Mel, if you'd watch him, he'd get to looking around and seeing how much attention somebody was paying to him, and then he'd take one step back, and then he'd look around, and he'd take another step back, and he'd just, over the course of 10-15 minutes, he'd just step a little further back, just one step at a time, real slowly, with 30-40 seconds in between, until he was far enough back that there was no way anybody, and then he'd vamonos. But I got to where I figured him out, where he'd do that, and I'd let him get about 3-4 steps back there over 5 or 6 minutes, and he'd be looking around, and I'd say, Mel, and he'd walk back up to where he was supposed to be and put his head down because he got caught. I let him get away with it once in a while because it was fun for my team. So those are things to look for. When we got to talking about that, Dean says, oh, my old gelding, and his old gelding's like 18 or 20, he says, yeah, every once in a while he just kind of crow hop around. And he says it doesn't matter if he's been rode every day and he's not sore anywhere and the weather's good, whatever. And he says, do you think that's what's going on? And I said, yeah, he's just feeling good. And I said, you're kind of an old guy too, and it makes you feel good when you get to ride a bronc, even though he's just crow hopping around. He knows that makes you feel good, and he feels good. And he's just having a good time with you. And it's, whether it's a prank or just having a laugh together, those are the kinds of things that you really, you've developed a relationship with a horse when they start doing things like that. So keep your eye out for those kinds of things. It makes a life with horses even more enjoyable and even more fulfilling and more fun when you start finding those things and laughing at them. I was just reminded of another fine prank. We had a horse called Scotty. I called him Scotch Rocket. And it used to be in the evenings before we had kids, we'd get done riding colts and shower up and whatever, and then we'd pour a highball and go sit on the fence and watch horses. Just sit on the fence and watch horses. We didn't have TV. And that old Scotty horse, he was a funny old horse. And I drank whiskey on the rocks back then. And he'd kind of sneak up and bebop around, act like he was just wanting a petting. And then as soon as my eyes were off of him, he would steal my whiskey drink. And not like take it from me, but he'd just stick his face in there and go to lapping it up like a dog. And that's where he got the name Scotch Rocket. But there again, just funny things you learn about horses when you spend enough time around them.